Hello, listeners. This is Janine
and Kristen
from Henrico Casa. You are listening to our podcast, Vigilant Voices. Living life every day. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Henrico Casa's Vigilant Voices podcast.
Yes, it's good to have you with us, and we're happy to be in the studio today with a dear friend of Henrico Casa.
That is right. And listeners, hopefully you know that we always love inviting guests to our show, but it's especially enjoyable to have these podcast conversations with those we know well, both personally and professionally.
Yes, and today's guest is a business leader in Richmond. We met him initially through his firm because he was helping nonprofits in the community benefit from his financial knowledge, tax knowledge. Yep. And then he became a sponsor of our Home for Good Playhouse event.
Right. And then he became a partner in helping us create our new Court of Champions breakfast that we launched earlier this month and had a blast.
Yes, he is without a doubt a champion to us, a champion for children, a champion for family, and a champion for a new cause that he's here to tell us about today.
So, welcome, Dean Francis.
Wow, so good to be here, Janine and Kristen. Such a big fan of Henrico Casa, and you guys create the best events for fundraising, like Home for Good, now Court for Champions. Like, it's they're so fun to be a part of, but they're bringing great attention to the very, very important work that you do when you think of all these kids that are in need of help, and your volunteers, they're like angels from heaven making
a huge
difference.
I'm glad you shouted them out because they are amazing. Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Well, we are really happy to have you with us today, Dean. And so we definitely want to dive into what you're currently working on and you're very passionate about, which we appreciate. But we'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself. Just what's your story and what has driven you and One Bridge Advisors to just be a supporter of nonprofits, but healthy communities.
Yeah, so my wife Sarah and I have raised 5 kids here in Midlothian, and we love Virginia.
Shout out, yep.
But I want to give a shout out to Michigan, where I'm originally from.
Right?
Huge Michigan Wolverine fan, as you all know.
Yes, we do.
And so our son Cameron was running track and cross country at Liberty University in 2017. He'd gotten his mile time down to very, very close to 4 minutes. He was on track to achieve all these amazing dreams and goals when he discovered Kratom. Okay. So he found it online, and it basically was sold the same way it's sold today. And it was sold as a wellness supplement that could increase focus and energy, and it did that. He said it was amazing for his studies. It was great for his workouts.
Sure.
For a few months. And then his life went into a downward spiral. Nobody could understand what was going on. We were affiliating all of the, I guess, sense of depression that we saw in him. By the way, to this point, he'd been the happiest kid and had more friends than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So we're like, what in the heck is wrong? He moves back home, and we're not associating all of his problems with this wellness supplement. It was just like a powder that you mix into a tea. And 3 years into this dilemma, we end up in an emergency room one night, and the doctor takes one look at him, and he's like, "Son, you're on drugs. What are you taking?" And he's like, "What are you talking about? I'm not on drugs."
He's like, "I've never taken anything."
Yeah. I'm an athlete. I can see, him being
right.
Yeah.
And they talk a little bit. He said, "Well, I do take this stuff called Kratom." And the doctor had no idea what it was. This is 2021. And he goes back, looks into his computer, comes back out, and he says, "Son, that's an opioid. You have a full-blown opioid addiction. You need serious help." And we were like, what
I can't imagine how shocked you
just
are.
happened?
Well, because it's almost like it's a supplement, like a protein powder or a creatine or something that people take every day.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, listener, if you're like we were, we hadn't heard of it.
Right.
So, it's Kratom. So just Kratom, that's the word we're saying.
Yes.
For those of us, and it was me, I was one of them before I met you, what exactly is it? Like, you've now researched it. What have you learned about the substance?
It is a leaf from a tree in Southeast Asia. And if you're in Southeast Asia as a laborer working out in the hot sun, it's very common. You grab a leaf off a tree and chew on it, and it kind of gives you a little boost of energy, maybe helps you overcome some of the pain a little bit you have. And some people will even, boil it in a to a T,
Okay.
that kind of thing. But that amount is so small, it's not creating, it's hard for it to create an addiction, but it is opioid-like and being addictive and so forth. And so then they found a way to then crush it into a powder, ship it over here, and then sell it in all these products. So you could sell it as a powder, you could sell it as like a little shot, energy shot. This is ridiculous, but it is one of the most popular brands, is sold next to the 5-hour energy drinks in a lot of these gas
Right.
stations
Yeah.
and convenience stores, really misleading people
Yeah. People think
and
it's the same.
highly addictive. And so they have just abused it to the highest level, not to mention never going through any safety testing because they brought it through the wellness supplement laws.
Okay.
And as a result, now you have tons of people who have died. If it, for some reason, for some people, when you mix it, or if they have like an anxiety medication, or sometimes even just a over-the-counter medicine, it can interact and kill people. It is this is like OxyContin 2.0. That would be my best description of
Yeah.
kratom.
Oh, wow.
That's scary because it's something we haven't heard. I mean, I'll tell you what, after we talked and you were sharing Cameron's story when the first times we met, I went home to my kids
Right.
and said, have you heard of it? And they hadn't heard of it, which part of me was relieved, right? And then part of me is like, well, that's scary because you should know about
need
it
to
because
know.
they do the energy drinks and they do,
Yeah.
I can see how they would,
Mix
even
it
in
up.
confusion, mix it up and grab something off a shelf. You've learned so much, and I know you've been down to the General Assembly just trying to educate, right, and advocate around guardrails that should exist. What do you want to see happen, or how do you think we can make the world aware of this and a safer place for, we're going to say children because we're with CASA, but anyone, right?
Yeah. Well, first you got to realize that this industry is targeting very vulnerable population groups, starting with young people.
Right.
But then you can add to that, I would say, inner cities, people that have experienced pain, like a lot of our veterans. A lot of times they're just unsuspecting people, and they have no idea that this is going to convert in their body as an opioid. If you had any idea of that,
Yeah.
you would think twice about it. It's so misleading, so unfair. This is corruption. They're just exploiting our laws to make it possible, and I'm happy to answer how that happened. But when I first started in my journey, I thought this was unique, like, probably not many people. And then
Right.
I got into it, I'm like, what? This
Yeah.
is tens of thousands of people across our country. We're not talking about an addiction to like caffeine. We're talking about an opioid. And if you know anything about opioid-like withdrawal, I talked to one guy. He said, Dean, have you ever talked to anyone out of us that have ever been addicted to opioids? He had previously been addicted to OxyContin, and now he's
Yeah.
addicted to kratom.
Right.
Anyway, he said, we would rather die than experience the withdrawal
right.
of opioid. We're talking about something so intense, and I actually witnessed it in Cameron. I would never, ever wish this on anyone. It is the most demonic. That's probably the best way to say it. It's so it's unbelievable. And that word, it was interesting, comes from people in the addiction treatment centers. They will usually use words like insidious, demonic,
Okay.
worse than heroin. This is, people think I'm trying to be extreme to get attention. No, I'm repeating what's in these places. In fact, going to the Virginia bill that we got passed through both chambers, we had an addiction treatment specialist on who testified and said, if any of you doubt what I'm telling you, please come to our clinic for just one day and witness what we see all the time. And she said, I can't help explain it by any other word than demonic. I mean, she hated to be so like
Yeah.
extreme,
Or
like
Sure.
exact,
Sounds like
but
you're
there's
trying to
not.
catch the
But when
news,
you
yeah.
actually see it, it is like that. So when I first started the journey, Kristen, I was thinking, I'm trying to be open-minded because you hear people say, I take it for pain. It's really helped me with my pain.
Sure.
And when I don't want people to be in pain, I get it.
Right.
But now I realize that the whole thing has to be shut down until somebody can come up with enough safety testing and a delivery system where if it can help somebody with their pain, fine, that's great. But you can't kill people and addict people in the meantime.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what I hope will happen. We get our first bill passed here in Virginia, but hopefully we'll have more.
Sure. And just to clarify, there's no age constrictions or restraints on it right now, right? Like it's something you can just over the counter.
It does have,
purchase?
in most places, it does have an age 21. But
Okay.
if you ask young people who go into a vape shop, many of the vape shops never
Yeah.
really
Sure.
ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you're doing all of these great things in this advocacy, Dean, in order to really help with getting it off the shelves in the first place. But if not, let's get it regulated. And that's a big problem with what we hear and see, as it's called, the gas station drugs, is that there's some loopholes there. So we would consider you then, Dean, definitely a vigilant voice.
Yeah.
And you're making waves of progress. I mean, we know it's difficult to advocate at the General Assembly, and you're doing that not only in Virginia, but across the country. So, we really like to also ask guests about their just vision for community. And at CASA, our vision is for all children to have a safe home. But what about you? What is your vision when you think about what you would like to see for young people or families?
Well, I think parents and grandparents, I tell them all the time, you got to tell your kids, your nephews, your nieces,
Yeah.
your you got to let people know you can't just put anything into your body. Like you have to really think twice. We kind of think that legal means safe. No, no. Here's a perfect example of it. So you got to inform everybody around you. And then specifically on the kratom, I think you got to reach out to your state legislator and say, "Hey, are you aware of this? Because we need more in Virginia to get on board." I think more lawmakers than ever here in our state are now very aware,
Right.
but we need more people kind of speaking up.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And listener, we can link to a site where you can find your legislators, and that way you can add your voice to Dean's effort. Dean, we're kind of getting towards what I would call the end of the show, but before we kind of go into our last question, I would love to know how Cameron's doing and, where
so
you are in that journey.
I am really excited to say, because if you get addicted to opioids, I mean, what is ahead of you is really, really hardcore. Like, I mean, you're going to have to get on your knees and climb up like Mount Everest. And there are great addiction treatment professionals out there, but a lot of them, they do one thing, not this thing. And so then you actually need to combine
Right.
quite a few of them together
Okay.
to kind of connect the dots. And that's really the problem for a lot of people in addiction. You have a really good treatment, but then, okay, there needs to be a connection to the next person or in the recovery process. And I think, in the case of Cameron with kratom, we kept totally underestimating. And I think because it was new, a lot of the professionals even did.
Yeah.
And so it has been painful progress along the way.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, then setbacks. So I am going to go pick him up this week in Mexico.
Okay.
And I'm really excited about this. So this applies to anyone that's faced addiction or trauma.
Yeah.
I am quickly becoming a fan of Ibogaine. And you can quickly just, go on YouTube and look up all kinds of stuff on Ibogaine. And so what it's doing is it's resetting in Cameron's case, his dopamine, serotonin, and opioid receptors back to their pre-addictive state. And so tons of people say the urge to use just goes to zero or near zero after it's over, which is the problem. His recovery coach said this to me. He said, Ibogaine does in 2 weeks what takes us 2 years in the recovery process. And that just clicked with me because that's what happens to people in addiction. They get some detox, they make some progress, but the brain is so damaged, it takes a year or two before it's strong again.
Right.
And so you're so vulnerable. Anyway, I'm going to go pick him up. It's south of San Diego. We found this great place. These people are amazing. And I'm already getting great texts from him. One of his texts said, Dad, I haven't been able to read in years because my brain is just so screwed up. And he said, I've been reading every morning. In fact, I finished an entire book
Nice.
in just a few
Well,
days.
So that's
That's-
the progress.
So anyway, excited
Wow.
to see this progress that we think is going to hopefully unleash the next chapter of his life.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That's amazing.
fabulous.
And Dean, one of the things we love about you is that you're building a legacy, well, and not even just for your family,
Right.
like for the community, but and not just of philanthropy, but of civic engagement, right?
Yeah.
Like you're trying to inspire people to just act on their beliefs and what's right and wrong. And that's kind of perfect for the way we end our podcast, because we like to end with a call to action. So we'd love to know kind of one thing that you would ask our listeners to do in response to this conversation today. What is something you would encourage them to act upon?
Well, and before I do, I'm just going to say I'm all about things that are life-changing, and I think that's what Henrico Casa is about. You're changing the lives of children.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I don't know. I think all of us as humans, we're more excited to live our lives when we're a part of things that have huge purpose. And so anyway, but I think the calls to action really are probably what I already mentioned, but I'm going to say it again.
Yeah.
Take a moment, make sure everybody in your family, your close friends know what kratom is. Just stay away from it. There's too much danger in it. And I think that kind of goes along with don't put things in your body if you're not 100% certain what it is. Read, learn. There's so much available on the internet. And then seriously, I know a lot of people, you're probably like me. I've not been a part of lawmaking and stuff before. Like I didn't really know till like a year ago, like who my
It feels
delegate was.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who my senator
Some kind of
was.
group.
I like,
Yeah.
yeah. But you know what? All of us need to know who our state delegates are. We need to know who our state senators
Agreed.
are. Democrat or Republican, when you get into an issue like this, this is just about people. And it's worth just people have no idea. Okay, this is interesting. The staff, when you talk to a staff member from a delegate or a senator, it's as if you're talking to the delegate or the senator.
Correct.
Those people I have discovered are so passionate. When they hear your story, they talk, or they just hear you just say, this is wrong, we need to do this. That gets right to your delegate and your senator, and it influences votes way more than people realize. That's probably one of my biggest takeaways. And so find out who that is, and then just tell them, hey, if we need to do more on kratom. That would be the message that you should be giving to them. It's great that we just passed a bill that's going to have a warning label now going forward that says this product may cause dependence and opioid-like withdrawal, and it's going to put these things behind the counter and lock cases. This is really good. But that was only the first step, only because the General Assembly didn't even know how to spell kratom before we started this bill.
Right.
The truth is the next best thing is probably just have it completely eliminated or restricted to such a level it's super, super safe. I leave that up to lawmakers, but tell your lawmaker, look, let's do more, because you don't want this to happen to your kid or to anyone's kids. And so that's what I'd say.
I love that. I think we can all act upon that. And you're encouraging to be around, Dean. Your children are blessed to have you, your grandkids, and now just so many kids in the community. I hope people are listening and acting and will call their legislators.
Awesome. Go Henrico Casa.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for listening to Vigilant Voices, Henrico Casa's podcast. We have a vision for all children to live in safe, healthy homes. You can help us make that happen. Tell a friend about our podcast and find us on social media.
I believe in the better days.